Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel if you're returning, Louise Savage Muses, and a very warm welcome if you're joining for the first time. It's a very exciting day today, you can tell, because on his sofa
on his sofa?
Yeah, with me on his sofa. He's not on me, although our legs are very close on this sofa. It's it's a good job we love each other. It's a bit intimate. But this is my lovely son, Savage Reeds, who has just stalked me again. Oh, now that was a look. So we are really, really excited because we are together today, especially to film for Bookshop Day, which is the 14th of October, so it's very fast approaching. And we've had various plans for this, so which have kept sort of going slightly awry because we're both very busy people, and so are the people that we'd like to involve. So originally we were going to go off to Suffolk, weren't we, to Clare, to visit the wonderful Mrs. Harris at Harris & Harris Books, but we couldn't all triangulate our dates, so we are now looking forward to going over there on the 9th and 10th of December. To be booksellers.
To basically be Mrs. Harris's book elves.
Exactly, yes. Her glamorous assistants.
I'm not wearing that outfit.
He keeps saying this and I think it's so mean.
No, I'm not doing it.
I'm getting used to rocking green. That's, you know, obviously why I've worn this today. And I'm... All right, maybe not.
Because you're an elf today.
No, because I'm practising for being an elf.
I've gone for orange
attention?
because that's
he's a
books
pumpkin.
are my bag colour. Books my bag is orange.
Yeah, no, I am aware.
This is giving pumpkin spice latte. It's an autumnal. It's autumnal in the shirt.
May
anyway,
I say the whole house smells of pumpkin because we've just had some really nice.
We have.
Well, it wasn't pumpkin. It was parsnip and carrot soup, and there's a lovely candle going downstairs.
Pumpkin bread.
That's what it was.
That's what we had.
Yeah.
And the candle, just for those who are interested, smells of butterscotch angels delight.
It does, but the whole mix is very autumnal down there.
I love autumn. It's my favourite season. Are you a big fan of autumn?
Yeah. I was born in the autumn.
Oh, that's true.
I think that's got a lot to do with it. I love the smell of leaves falling, rotting. That lovely. And
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was one plan that didn't quite add up.
But then something ace has come out.
So then, well, then we were hoping to go to the new Bookshop. They are opening their second
delayed,
store,
aren't they? Yeah, in Bridge North.
In Bridge North, so that's quite local to where I live, and I'm so excited. I am so excited about that opening. So we were hoping to go and have a little sneaky preview, but unfortunately their opening's been delayed a little.
We're still going to do it though, so keep your eyes on social media because at some point we will be in there.
So another, for me, fast becoming absolute favourite bookshop is the bookshop in West Kirby, which Simon did take me to. Was it earlier this year?
I can't remember.
No, I can't. I don't think it's that long ago.
I think it's this year.
But I was absolutely bowled over by it. It's just a real gem. It's beautifully curated, and yeah, and the guys who run it are absolutely superb. So
I'm very, very lucky that that's pretty much my local bookshop now.
Yeah, and you know they're really helping us out because they're opening it especially so that we can do this afternoon. So
demands she makes now that she's a booktuber, honestly.
It's not my demands. So the lovely people at Books in My Bag have given us some book tokens. So we are going book shopping. Yes, I have got mine down there in the bag, but I'm not going to footle around. Yeah, so
this is this year's bag.
It's gorgeous, isn't it gorgeous? All my favourite colours. Like this is, I feel like it's, you know, I'm so egotistical. I feel like it's been designed with, I mean, look what I'm wearing. It just completely complements.
The excitement when she saw that.
I know.
Was high. And also, I was saying, well, peacocks can be unlucky, but instantly classical reference.
It's Juno's bird.
Also known as Hera.
Also known as Hera, very good.
Thank you.
You did learn something.
I've been reading Divine Might by Natalie Haynes.
Okay. It's nothing to do with growing up with a classicist then at all.
No, I blanked all of that.
Okay, fair enough. So have I.
No,
it was all very traumatic.
No, do you know one of the reasons that I think I love autumn so much is due to that Persephone book we had. Not as in Persephone the Publishers. There was a picture book of Persephone
by Farmer and McCullum.
And the whole segments where she's with Demeter and it's autumn, the colours there, I think imprinted on me as a kid.
I think they're some of the most beautiful book illustrations
I keep trying to find a copy of that. And
it's out of
so
print.
hard
It's
to
been out
get.
of print
No, but
for
whenever I'm like in a second-hand bookshop, I'm always like going through the kids section to see if they've got it.
It's
Alas,
beautiful.
not yet.
It's a gorgeous book. So Simon, here especially for you are some images from that beautiful Story of Persephone book. So anyway, we are off book shopping imminently. In fact, we're rambling on so much. I'm rambling on so much that we're probably going to be a bit late. But anyway, that doesn't matter. So Simon, what are you hoping to purchase today?
You see, now this is tricky because I don't like to go into a bookshop with a shopping list because I think that can sometimes scupper me. Also, I don't like to, as you've learnt when we tried to film back when we did our bookshop tour across Yorkshire, I get quite tense when I'm like, I know I've got a specific time to spend a specific, because that was spending vouchers again, and I start to get...
You don't like buying books under pressure
I think it'll be different here because it's one bookshop, so therefore I can just browse and then take things. I think if there is anything that I'm looking for, I really would like to read Rouge by Mona Awad, I think is the name of the author, which is a sort of twist on is it Beauty and the Beast, or is it, I think it's Beauty and the Beast tale, but it's based around like the beauty industry now. So that sounds like it's quite good.
You loved Beauty and the Beast when you were little.
It's gothic as well.
I had to read it over and over again.
So that one, Claudia Rankin's got a new poetry collection, which I nearly bought when we were together in Yorkshire. That was on the list then, I still haven't got around to getting. And then what else I've been thinking? There's a book that I have a proof of that I would really like a finished copy of because it's beautifully done. It's called Northwoods by Daniel Mason, which we talked about before because it's the one that's based on a house and the life of a house and all the different people that live in it. Also very autumnal cover. And then I think that's kind of it, because I'm kind of thinking if they're not there, I don't want to be like, oh no, I can't get those. I mean, obviously what I love about, and I think it's what I love about all indie bookshops, and that's really what Bookshop Day is about, is the fact that they have their own sort of eclectic mix. Yeah. And I think with West Kirby Bookshop specifically, I love the fact there's loads of authors I've generally not heard of. Yeah. It's quite small presses.
I think that's why I like it, because especially like, you know, I follow them on Instagram, and when something pops up from them, I really pay attention because it's almost always something that I've not seen anywhere else. And the books that I've bought from there, I've really enjoyed. So it's very exciting, isn't it?
It is. And I think the plan is that we're going to see if Jordan and Dan can recommend us some books. And also, I think we're going to buy each other a book, which I think will be Mission Impossible.
For me, I think it's much harder for me buying for you. I mean, look.
Well, I mean, if you just take pictures of all these shelves, these are the ones that I've not read. So that kind of makes
that's the trouble. Like, you know, the chances of me buying something that you've already read.
Well, am I going to have to give a signal? Some sort of...
No. No, because frankly, that will look weird. Okay. And I might misinterpret it and think you're ill or something.
You should buy one that you might like if I've already got it. Because then you get the benefit of it.
Or I think there are some books that I've been banging on about for years that you've just ignored. That I possibly might turn to.
Interesting.
I don't know.
And let's see whether we choose to buy each other a paperback or a hardback. Because that was what I was thinking about. I was like, oh, I don't really want to get that many hardbacks because the amount you can get instead of in paperbacks is quite high. Yeah. So that's also one thing that I think I'm going in a little bit. But then also, that said, this could be the perfect opportunity to buy a hardback that I might not normally treat myself to. Exactly. Although I do think they're so expensive now, it's getting a little bit insane. But
there are some books that you do, I feel like, you don't need to have in hardback, but you know the one I read recently, the brothers one, Manny and Reuben Coe.
Oh, yeah.
Brother Do You Love Me? That, because it's got all those wonderful illustrations in it, I really did want to have a hardback copy of that book. So I think there are certain books that you kind of, if you can, are better to have as hardbacks.
Well, there we are.
Anyway, we better get going, haven't we? Yeah. Okay, see you in a bit.
I'm going to warn Jordan and Dan that we're on our way.
Okay, do that. Give them the 10-minute warning. Right, see you soon. Bye. Simon, where are we going?
Oh, we're off to West Kirby Bookshop.
Are we off to West Kirby Bookshop?
We are.
Is it exciting?
With our chauffeur Tim. Thank you, Tim.
Well, thank you, Tim. So Jordan, I'd be so grateful if you would recommend something to this elderly woman here who stood at your desk.
Not elderly at all, but of course I will. So I'd really love to recommend you Bellies by Nicola Dinan. This is a debut novel, and I just think the prose are incredibly beautiful. I think how Nicola writes about the messiness of relationships, about friendships, about gender, about sexuality is very honest and frank. It's fantastic. So Bellies follows the characters of Ming and Tom, who meet at a drag night while they're at university. They are a gay couple and they're in a relationship together. The novel navigates also around some of their friends too. And sort of as they start to leave university and get jobs and sort of enter the real world, so to speak, Ming comes out as transgender and decides they're going to transition. And then it's how that has a interesting ripple effect in their relationship, in their friendship group. But how Nicola writes about food, how she writes about race, how she writes about millennial relationships, and the kind of struggles that come with that, capitalism in some ways as well.
Oh, wow.
She's just a fantastic writer. I really, really loved it. I found it very, very frank, very refreshing. And I just think everyone should read it. It
sounds
incredible.
perfect because it sounds really topical but a little bit political, and I like the fact that you said the style of it is really beautiful.
It is, yeah, and I think it's great because it is topical, but it's not. It's just honest, and I think that's really important. Yeah. And I loved it.
Thank you. It looks perfect. I love the cover.
It's great, isn't it?
The cover is just genius.
Yeah. Is it a peach? Is it a bun?
Exactly. What even is it? Thank you very much, Jordan, for that. I appreciate it.
My
So Dan, I know you've got something there that you've really enjoyed.
Yes,
that
I
you would.
So Carla, I think it's going to be, well, at the minute, it's one of the best books that I've read this year. I've really thoroughly enjoyed it. We did an author event here for it, and Colin Walsh was amazing when he was just discussing it. So Carla follows these group of friends. Carla is like the main sort of core friend in the group.
Right.
And she goes missing. So there's like a follow-on in 15 years later where all the friendship group, for whatever reason, have come back to this really small town on the west coast of Ireland to kind of, I don't know, meet up. There's a wedding and remains are found. So it's all kind of following on with like what's happened there, small town kind of mentalities. Yeah, really, really good.
It sounds perfect for autumn, because I said I fancied something thrillerish, but what I'm loving is that it's Irish. There's an Irish thing going on.
And throughout it, there's kind of like weird going on. It feels a bit like time travel-y. I'll leave that for you to have a little bit, but yeah, it's interesting. It's really good.
Fabulous, thank you. You've titillated me.
Oh, for goodness sake.
I just love this bookshop. It's fab, and that window, I'm just going to walk you towards it so you can see. How brilliant is that? It's amazing. So I'm back home. Had an absolutely amazing time in West Kirby Books with Simon. I think we only intended to be there for about an hour, and we were there for way longer. I just feel completely, it's wonderful, isn't it, going to bookshops? I feel completely reinvigorated. I've got loads of books I'm desperate to read, and I've been having a bit of a chuckle at myself because I didn't buy a single book that was on my list of books that I was looking for. Partly because you go into a bookshop, don't you, and you just get distracted by other things, and particularly in a bookshop like that one that is really, really well curated. It's not particularly large shop, so you don't feel overwhelmed, and there was time to sort of look through every single shelf, which I really liked. And they have their books organised, all the fiction, no matter what genre, no matter what era it's written, they're all together on the same shelves, and I've realised that in bookshops I really love that, because that's what a library does. You literally, well, pretty much anyway. I think when I first started reading as a child, one of the things I liked was the fact that the books weren't too neatly defined by genre, and that maybe that's why I've got such an eclectic reading taste. I don't know, or maybe it's just because I'm totally obsessed with books. The other thing I didn't do was buy a prompt book for the October prompt, which is to read a book with food in its title. So I've just had just rather frantic scurry around my shelves, and it's actually fine, because I thought I didn't have any, but I have got one book. I'd got a book with octopus in the title. I thought that was cheating a bit, probably, and I had a book with pigs in the title, and I thought that might be cheating as well. But I have found a book with lollipop in the title. I'm not going to tell you any more. And it's by an author who's really well known, but I've only read one of her books before, so I'm quite excited for that. But you can hear about that in October. So I have this fantastic, beautiful, 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 as you've already seen, Books Are My Bag, fabulous peacock, glorious, splendid tote bag. And inside are the wonderful books that I purchased. So I'm going to have, it's a massive haul, and I really want to share it with you. So first up, of course, is Bellies, which was Jordan's recommendation. I really love the sound of it, particularly the idea of a novel that's sort of set or involves drag queens and all that kind of thing, because it's just something I don't know very much about. So I think it's going to take me into a very, very different world. So I'm really excited for this. And actually, I was reading the information about the author, and she grew up in Hong Kong and Kuala Lumpur. So that's fascinating in itself. But also she did a degree in natural sciences at Cambridge. So I really like the idea. I mean, I loved that Sam Gugliani book I read recently about hospitals, and I really love the idea of scientists writing, and you know, we shouldn't have these divisions between arts and science, should we? I mean, I know there are other scientists obviously who have written, but they tend to be in the minority. So I'm really, really looking forward to that one, and thank you, Jordan, for recommending it. And then I got home and perused my shelves and realised this lovely book that Dan recommended, Carla, which involves a disappearance, and then 15 years later some remains are found and other girls have disappeared, and it's set in Ireland, and what's not to like? You'll have already heard him talking about it. I realised I'd already bought this myself. I knew I thought I'd picked it up and looked at it and not bought it, but I had actually picked it up, looked at it and bought it. So that book I will now be donating to my sixth formers at work. So yeah, great, because now I can sit and read a copy that I know I'm going to enjoy because Dan recommended it. And again, you'll have heard about it earlier on. What else have I got in this wonderful bag? Oh yeah, so of course, when we turned up at the bookshop, they were the lovely artist was painting the window display for Halloween, and as you've seen in the footage, it was a really retro take on Halloween with witches' fingers and those false teeth you used to put in your mouth. It really took me back, and I got that kind of sort of Halloween feeling. Halloween I've got very mixed feelings about, because we couldn't afford pumpkins when I was a child, so we used to have turnips, and being the eldest of 4 children, I was the one who had to carve all the turnips, because I was the one who was allowed to use the sharp knife, and I'm still scarred by it, literally and physically and psychologically, because it was a horrible job. It was really hard work, and it would really hurt my hands, and then I ended up foolishly doing it for my own kids as well, so I don't know, but I do love the smell of autumn. You know, that whole thing of the leaves and blah, 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 which of course is very Halloween-y. So I thought I need something spooky, and I picked this up. This could go one of 2 ways, but I did like the idea of it. And what sold it for me, which is really sad, is that it's set in 1965, which is the year I was born. And my birthday is in the autumn as well. So I kind of thought, oh, this is, you know, maybe going to conjure up something from my past. I'm just reaching for my glasses because I want to explain a little bit of the blurb. So Pearl arrives in 1965, one of a string of young women sent to Lichen Hall to give birth. When she meets the mysterious mother and young boy who live on the grounds, the truth of the house emerges and the darkness moves in. So it sounds like a real sort of grand house mystery thriller. It says it's chilling and haunting. So I just thought, oh, you know, just a nice sort of, not light read, but something that maybe I don't take too seriously, but I just read to kind of get me into that Halloween-y, spooky mood. And on that note as well, I also bought this, which is Thin Air by Michelle Paver. I adore Michelle Paver. Sorry, I have to take these off because they're reading glasses. I get a headache otherwise. She wrote the Wolf Brother series, which I read to my younger children, and we became absolutely addicted to them. If you've got young kids, I would say, I'm trying to think, they were probably about 8 or 9 when we started reading them, and there's about 7 of them. They are absolutely wonderful. They're beautifully written. They're partly narrated by a wolf. It starts in a very gruesome way. They start with a young boy who's lying by the corpse of his father, who's been murdered, and the young boy stumbles off and is adopted by a wolf, and therefore he and the wolf in the title of the story are like brothers. And he goes on all these amazing adventures, and it's kind of like a Stone Age vibe. And there are just some beautiful characters, fantastic adventures, and the way that she writes about the natural world is just wonderful, and the plots are great. So I really, really recommend them. I would read them as an adult. You know, I think you get a lot of pleasure out of them. Anyway, this is a ghost story. She did write another ghost story, which is set in Scandinavia somewhere, which I really enjoyed. It's all on the ice. And this one is a ghost story set in the Himalayas. What is not to like? What a weird, it's kind of weird concept, isn't it? We don't kind of associate ghost stories with those parts of the world. So I just really, really, 5 Englishmen set out to conquer it, i.e. Kangchenjunga. It's a sacred mountain, the biggest killer of them all. Is that, I think that might be, is it another name for Everest? I really ought to know. But yeah, I really like the look of that. And again, it's kind of that wintry evening, sort of spooky, chilled vibe that I chose that for. And also because it's Michelle Paver and she can do no wrong. Then I picked up Jenny Offill's Department of Speculation. I read Jenny Offill's novel Weather some years ago because it came up. It was longlisted, might even have been shortlisted for the Women's Prize. And I really enjoyed it because she's another one of these authors who's really experimenting with the form of the novel. And you can see again that this is quite fragmentary. It's a story about the relationship of a couple and how that kind of changes and starts to fragment. So I'm just really interested in this. And on the back, on the blurb, Maggie O'Farrell absolutely raves about it. She says she finished it and started it all over again. So, you know, that alone would probably sell it to me. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. What else have I got? Oh yeah, now Claudia Pineiro, Ellena NOS. I'm really enjoying exposing myself to more fiction in translation. And having just got back from South America, this is an author from Buenos Aires. So, you know, I quite like the idea of reading something that's set on that continent because I've absolutely fallen in love with it. This is the story about a mother whose daughter is found hanging, I think, in a church. Yeah. And the police try to close the case down really quickly, and she is absolutely not wanting that to happen. And the mother persistently sort of digs into this story to try and find out what's happened to her daughter. And I love that idea. I should imagine the emotions are strong. The novel is set over a period of 1 day, I think, if I remember rightly. I've taken my glasses off now. And I think she travels all around Buenos Aires in that day trying to unstitch this tragedy. So I thought that sounded really, really super. And this one, Greek lessons, again, I know I've picked this one up before and thought, why didn't I buy that? So it's by Kang, who wrote The Vegetarian, which I've also heard lots of good things about, but not actually read myself. But this book is actually about a woman who is having lessons in ancient Greek. It's like it was written for me. But what happens is she goes mute, she goes silent, and I think it's about the relationship between her and her language teacher, her Greek language teacher. And there is even ancient Greek script in here. Yes. And what I love about it is that I think it plays around with language a lot. I think it's probably, from what I can gather, it's exploring written communication, non-verbal communication, because of the idea of her not actually wanting. She's taking Greek lessons, but she's not speaking. So that's quite a fascinating concept, especially because you tend to learn, you know, obviously with ancient Greek, you don't really speak it anyway. You're kind of reading, you only translate from Greek to English, usually. I mean, you can translate from English to Greek. It's a really good way of practicing your grammar and so on. But there isn't really any other purpose to it. So I think it probably raises all sorts of questions about that, which I find really fascinating. And of course, in order to learn the language, certainly for me, I need to be able to hear the sounds in my head. I need to be able to read it aloud for that reason. And also because, of course, they did speak it. So you're trying to sort of work out how, you know, how that would sound, because in poetry and well, in prose as well, the rhythm and the sound of the language is part of the joy of it. So yeah, I'm really intrigued by this one, and I really like it's large. It's one of these slightly larger but not heavy hardbacks, and I really love the feel of those in my hand, and that does matter when you're reading. Well, I've still got I think 3 more books in here. I can't believe what value, what absolute value. So this is the Mournable Body by Tsitsi Dangarembga. I hope I've probably not pronounced that at all well. It's set, I think, in Harare, if I remember rightly. Yeah. And what I really liked about the reason I picked this is because it's set in a hostel, and I thought, I don't think I've ever read any fiction that was set in a hostel, so that immediately grabbed my attention. It's set in a different continent, different place. You know, having read something South American, it might be quite nice to go to Africa for a bit. But also, I always, in bookshops, I don't know whether you do this, but I always read the first few sentences, and the first sentence just did it for me. There is a fish in that mirror. I mean, immediately I'm like, what? I want to know why. You know, I want to know, is there really a fish there? Is it somebody's perception? Is it somebody's perception of themselves? Is it some sort of other distorted shape? You know, I'm desperate to read this now because of that opening line. Yeah. And who doesn't love an orange book? So I have 2 more. Oh, now, I don't know why I've never come across this before. Again, this is what I love about bookshops, especially independent bookshops, because they tend to be curated by people who absolutely love reading. That is, you know, I mean, in this day and age, why would you run an independent bookshop if you weren't somebody who absolutely loved reading and loved books? I've never seen this book before in my life, never heard about it. Now, that's probably me. But thanks to, you know, going into the bookshop, I stumbled across it. I picked it up partly because of the cover, because it's really kind of weird looking. It looks like an old Spike Milligan illustration or something like that. It's by Leonora Carrington. It's called The Hearing Trumpet. It was written in the early 60s, so why don't I know about it? It's published as a Penguin Modern Classic. And it sounds amazing. It's about a woman in her 90s, and they buy her a hearing trumpet. And the first thing she hears is that they're planning to put her in an institution. So she goes to the institution and then all these really, really surreal things happen. I think it's kind of almost like a fantasy novel. Quite experimental, I think. So yeah, I'm fascinated by this. If any of you read it, please let me know what you thought. Don't give any spoilers away though, because you know what I'm like. It could take months for me to get round to actually reading it. But it sounds amazing, and yeah, how wonderful to find a new author from the 60s. What I mean is new to me. And then finally, Mrs. Caliban. Now this again sounds, I don't know what it is, maybe I'm quite into surreal things at the moment. I mean, I love The Tempest, it's one of my favourite Shakespeare plays, and partly because I absolutely adore the character of Caliban. So anything with Caliban in the title, this is by Rachel Ingalls, is going to appeal. And then on the back, I like the way it's a Faber book, and these books always remind me of poetry rather than prose. But anyway, everybody seems to have loved it. Patricia Lockwood, Sarah Hall, Marlon James, they're all raving about it. But it's the blurb. It was the blurb that got me as well. What does it say? Dorothy is a grieving housewife in the Californian suburbs, mourning the death of her young son and recent miscarriage. Oh, crikey, poor Dorothy. Her husband is unfaithful, but they're too unhappy to get a divorce. One day she's doing chores when she hears strange voices on the radio announcing that a green-skinned sea monster has escaped from the Institute for Oceanographic, that's a mouthful, research. But little does she expect him to arrive in her kitchen. I just love. It's bonkers, but I'm guessing it's going to sound really plausible. I don't know why I've got Mermaid of Black Conch in my head, that wonderful mermaid. Muscular, vegetarian, sexually magnetic and excellent at housework, Larry the Frogman is a revelation, and their passionate affair takes them on a journey beyond their wildest dreams. I mean, really. The New Yorker describes it as a miracle. And again, I've never seen it, I don't think. When was it written? When was it published? 1980. Hang on. Yeah, 1982. I mean, that was the year Simon was born. And yet it's passed me by. It has passed me by until now, thanks to independent bookshops. So, finally, I have here a lovely West Kirby. But this is the other thing about going to independent bookshops. They sell lovely other things apart from books. I just love these tote bags. I love a tote bag. And, you know, this is a spectacular orange one. And so Simon, we challenged ourselves. I had to buy Simon a book and he bought me one. So we chose one for each other. Not had to, we wanted to. So in this bag is the book that he's chosen for me. So I hope I'm going to like it, Simon. Oh, it's a hardback, so that's nice. And it feels nice and light. It feels a bit like that Greek lessons book. Oh, fantastic. It's Kate Atkinson's short stories. He knows I love Kate Atkinson. And I don't have a copy of this yet. So thank you, Simon. That's a beautiful choice. And I love, it's kind of autumnal, isn't it? It kind of fits the autumn feel. Normal rules don't apply. There had been signs and portents everywhere for a while now, if you knew how to read them. A swollen blood moon the previous night and a blazing blitz-red sunrise that had woken the East End every morning last week. And as she walked along the embankment on Saturday, there had been an augury, one of my favourite words, an augury of swans flying low in formation along the Thames as if going into battle. Small omens, but Kitty had seen them before. There was a reboot coming. That sounds brilliant. Oh, that's so lovely. Well, Simon, thank you. That was a really lovely choice. I just hope you're going to like the book I chose for you. Is a little bit eccentric, my reasons for choosing it. Oh, gone.
Hello, Mummy. So, you'll have seen, because you'll have got it out of that gorgeous West Kirby Bookshop bag, that I have picked you Kate Atkinson's Normal Rules Don't Apply short stories, or Kate's latest short story collection. And this is possibly a bit of an easy or too easy pick in some ways, because I know that you love Kay Atkinson, and I know that you really enjoy short stories when they're good. These are stellar short stories. This is one of my favourite books that I've read this year. It's also got a stunning autumnal cover, and I kind of felt like you might not treat yourself to this until it comes out in paperback, and they're too good to wait for, frankly. So I'm hoping that you get to it quite soon, because I really, really want to talk to you about it. And there is like a nostalgic reason for picking this as well, because she was one of Gran's favourite writers, your mum. And I always think when a new Kay Atkinson book comes out, and when a new Maggie O'Farrell book comes out, and indeed when a new Rose Tremaine book comes out, of Gran and what she'd make of it. And so the fact that we can have a chat about these authors that we love is extra special. So get cracking, get reading. I'm expecting a book report very, very soon. And yeah, I look forward to hearing your thoughts. I think you'll be delightfully surprised with this, because it's a little bit speculative, but also I can't wait to hear what you might spot in some of the stories as you go on. So yeah, there we go. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you soon for some more book shopping.
So, Simon, you might be wondering why I chose for you The Imitation of the Rose by Clarice Lispector. Well, I have to be absolutely brutally honest. The first reason that the book attracted my attention was the colour, because it's that lovely sort of dusky pink. And you had been showing me, and we'd been discussing the location of your Shay Long in your library at home. And it's pretty much the same colour. And I just looked at this book and I thought I could just picture you reclining on the Shay Long with this this dusky pink book in your hand. So I think it felt a bit spooky. It felt like it was a sign that it needed to be a book that I purchased for you. I also really love those cloth bound Coralie Bickford Smith designed books myself. I think they're really nice to hold and read. So I was thinking about the tactile aspect of them. And then I didn't know anything about Clarice Lispector, and I discovered that she was actually Ukrainian born, and then eventually went to, I want to say, South America. And I think something to do with the war and having to relocate, and because I think she was born in the 20s. And then the stories, it's a short story collection, and I thought they sounded really quite surreal. So The Imitation of the Rose, the nominal story, is about a woman who's recovered or recovering from a nervous breakdown, and she's contemplating this vase of roses and doesn't know what to do with them, and it leads to a kind of panic attack. And I thought that's quite unusual. It looks to me like the stories are very psychological, and also have got a kind of air of mystery about them, which again is appropriate, I think, for this time of year. So I really, really hope you enjoy it. You'll have to let me know how you get on with it. But yeah, that was my thinking, Simon. Yeah, enjoy. So I really hope, because this video is going out midweek, before international, I'm not sure if it's international or national, I ought to know, Bookshop Day, which is the 14th of October, so it's this Saturday coming. Please, please, please get out to a bookshop if you can. I know it's not possible for everybody, but if you can, treat yourself. And look how it's invigorated and energised me. Just thinking about it has brought a massive smile to my face. Yeah, just go and indulge that passion for books, and give something back to these wonderful people. I mean, I don't think, I don't think owning a bookshop is a massive money spinner. I think it's a passion project. And I really admire people who can make a success of it. It's a pipe dream for me. It's something I've always fancied doing, but I just don't know if I've got the energy. I think it takes a lot, and to be quite honest, the business acumen to be able to do it. But yeah, Lord love you, booksellers. And please, everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday. And let me know what you go out and buy, because I'd love to know. Take care, everyone. Speak to you all soon. Bye.
Oh.
That's a bit of a cheeky noise.
The toilet.
Are you ready?
Oh, we're still recording.
We are still recording.
Oh no, that could be a blooper that could work.
Shall I just start again?
No, there could be some nice bloopers in there, Louise. Never waste content. You never know what you might need.